And for the first time in history, WNBA games will be played in the United Center. The Chicago Sky will host the Indiana Fever at the UC on Saturday, June 7th, and on Sunday, July 27th. The highly anticipated games will feature Fever star Caitlin Clark against the Sky's very own Angel Reese. The largest attendance at a Sky game ever happened in 2016 at Allstate Arena with more than 16,000 fans, while the United Center can fit more than 20,000, so more fans can get in on the action. Tickets go on sale on March.
Angel Reese wants us to believe that women's basketball isn't about just one player, but the Chicago Sky just served up a brutal reality check. They didn't just move a game, they made history by taking their matchup with the Indiana Fever to the United Center, the legendary home of the Bulls.
Wide looking. Here's Clark. She fires and good! Wow!
And why? Because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel Reese, not anyone else. This isn't a subtle message, it's a neon billboard flashing in front of the entire WNBA. Caitlin Clark is the main attraction, and even teams that claim otherwise are cashing in on her star power. But here's where it gets spicy. Before Caitlin Clark, the WNBA was struggling to fill seats, let alone make headline-worthy moves like this. Now entire franchises are restructuring their business strategies around her. Angel Reese and her camp might want to look away because the truth is painful. Clark is the game changer, and the Chicago Sky just made that crystal clear. Buckle up, folks, because we're diving straight into the controversy that's lighting up the basketball world.
Platforms on Tuesday night, making it the most watched WNBA game on ESPN Network since the WNBA debut of the Phoenix Mercury star, Diana Taurasi. Passing Diana Taurasi, what a way to start the season.
Well, I mean, listen, this girl is...
Before we do, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We're breaking down the hottest stories with high-energy analysis you won't find anywhere else. Let's be real, the Chicago Sky decision to move their game against Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever to the United Center wasn't just a business move, it was a statement. It's the first WNBA game ever hosted there, and it's happening solely because of Clark's presence. Angel Reese has been pushing the narrative that she and other players deserve just as much credit for the league's growth, but if that were true, why wasn't Chicago making these moves for anyone else? Has WNBA changed just because of one player as Caitlin? This isn't just about selling a few more tickets, it's about doubling the stadium capacity to meet the insane demand for Caitlin Clark games. The WNBA has had elite talent for years, yet never has a single player sparked this level of interest.
This show right here over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. Let me get to some sport items. That's my wheelhouse. I got a couple of things, a few things on my mind, actually. I didn't mention it in my cold open, but I'm going to mention it now, and that's Caitlin Clark herself in the WNBA. Let's get to the WNBA and this sensational rookie from the Indiana Fever, who continues to be box office. Clark and the Fever currently lead the WNBA in average game attendance and per game TV viewership. But despite the attendance and viewership record, there seems to be some haterade in the league in regards to Clark starting with WNBA legend Cheryl Swoopes.
Reese's claims were valid. Chicago would be expanding for other matchups too, but they're not. This is Clark's world and everyone else is just playing in it. Let's talk numbers. Before Clark, WNBA attendance averaged around 6,600 per game. Now we're seeing packed arenas and record-breaking viewership. Caitlin Clark steps onto the court. It's not just a basketball game, it's an event. The United Center move is just the latest proof that the WNBA is riding the Caitlin Clark wave, whether they want to admit it or not. Before Caitlin Clark entered the league, WNBA games were struggling to break through to mainstream audiences. Sure, there was a loyal fan base, but let's be honest, many games barely made a ripple outside hardcore circles.
Has WNBA changed just because of one player?
Matchups were competitive, but they lacked that must-watch factor. Some arenas were half-empty, TV ratings were stagnant, and media coverage minimal. Now the landscape has completely shifted, and one name sits at the center of it all: Caitlin Clark.
Take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Clark's arrival wasn't just big, it was a cultural shift. Attendance skyrocketed almost overnight, merch sales flew off the shelves, network scrambled to secure WNBA rights, and suddenly ticket prices surged to levels no one had seen before.
NBA games not involving Caitlin Clark is 8,490. So games that Caitlin Clark plays are averaging 85% more than non-Caitlin Clark. Just throwing that out there. You need to know. You need to understand these are the kind of things that comes with it.
And here's the kicker, entire teams started adjusting their business models just to accommodate her presence. Angel Reese might argue that no one player defines the league, but the numbers tell a different story. Vam Maru are your officials here today. She's up there with rebounds, up there with steals, and she'll take the first three-pointer. Take Indiana's opening game against the New York Liberty as exhibit of over 177,000 fans packed Gainbridge Fieldhouse, creating an atmosphere typically reserved for NBA playoffs or A-list concerts. The energy was electric. This wasn't some coincidence, this was the Caitlin Clark effect in real time. She's not just growing the game, she's revolutionizing it. With the first pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever select Caitlin Clark, University of Iowa. Well, Caitlin Clark hugging her family, her brothers Blake and Cullen, her father Brent, her mother Ann, and heading still skeptical about Clark's influence. Let's look at two teams that literally changed where they play just to capitalize on her arrival. The Atlanta Dream, instead of playing in their usual Gateway Center arena, moved their matchups against the Indiana Fever to State Farm Arena, home of the Atlanta Hawks. At start to the season in terms of scheduling, yes, they are ready and they have fresh legs coming in here to decent as the Fever get the jump, and the first bucket is down by here's Van Loo getting Edwards on the move. Got it deep. The defense would definitely be at the top of the list. Wallace in the corner gets that to go. Dose. Here's Boston off the pick and roll, little hesitation, gets that off the. Meanwhile, the Washington Mystics didn't hesitate to shift their games to Capital One Arena, where the Wizards play. Bigger venues, more seats, more money. Need to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down to history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one. What do both of these moves have in common? They happened because of Caitlin Clark. Need to take that on and be that for my teammates. Power dynamics. Clark's brand power is undeniable, but will it overshadow the dominance of the league's established stars? About coaching this young woman, as she is the same today as when she came in. She is full of confidence, she's full of grace, and she has an unbelievable power to make the league. Office, however, is capitalizing on this wave of attention with Clark. In the mix, ticket sales are soaring and merchandise is flying off the shelves, and media coverage is more intense than ever. The Aces, once the undisputed focal point of the league's marketing, now find themselves sharing, if not outright losing, their limelight to Clark. It's a changing of the guard, and some teams might not be ready for it. Players who cite you as an inspiration for their games, including Caitlin Clark, who's just absolutely a phenomenon in college, came into the WNBA with a whole lot of hype, lived up to it, and now she is ready to take the next step. What's that next step like for her? Next steps, gosh, in this generation it's no secret Caitlin Clark is playing under a different set of defensive rules. Night after night she faces the toughest defensive assignments, often drawing double and triple teams before she even crosses half court. The physicality next level, the aggression unmatched, the reason teams no stopping Park is their best shot at avoiding a highlight reel. Disaster. WNBA presented by Google have some NBA stars in the building. Bam out of bio. Damon Lillard, LeBron James. You see LeBron's wife Savannah there as well. Rich Paul in the middle, all catching the action of a great A.A. Wilson, and the Las Vegas Aces aren't taking any chances either. Wilson, a two-time MVP and defensive powerhouse, understands that limiting Clark is key to keeping the Fever from gaining confidence, and it's not just about Clark scoring. Her vision, her passing, her ability to shift defenses make her a constant threat. The Aces have made it clear they won't let her get comfortable, so look, this is an opportunity for everybody else to step up and A'ja Wilson to get a little rest as the ES make a run into the playoffs. So we think back to this championship run by the Aces last season, and they were down to still manage to get it done on the road in New York. However, this year I'm concerned not just because of the monster numbers that we just looked at, but also because of the emotional gravitas that A'ja Wilson brings as a leader to the squad. Focus has been a word that we have heard this team admit of themselves. They need to tighten up through the course of this season, and so for me, when your centerpiece and your leader goes down, you hope that you galvanize around them. And frankly guys, even if the Aces do just that, galvanize around the out of A'ja Wilson this liberty. But here's the thing, Clark thrives in adversity. The more teams try to shut her down, the more she finds ways to adapt, whether it's through deep range daggers, quick release assists, or drawing fouls with her high IQ play. Clark is proving she can handle the pressure. The real question is, can the Aces and the rest of the WNBA keep up with her adjustment?